And we are live.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Mayor Shawyn Patterson Howard, and we want to welcome you to Sundays with Shawyn. Tonight, we have our Councilman Marcus Griffith, who is also the chair of the City Council Finance and Planning Committee. And we're here tonight to discuss and just give you a few updates on three things. We have three quick topics tonight, and that's the cleanup that we did yesterday, the Team Up to Cleanup Day, the census, and the audit, the first audit done by the New York State Comptroller. We're asking that you take a moment and please share this on your page so that your friends and family can be updated on what's happening in the city. So we're asking that you just take a moment to share this on your page or start a watch party. So yesterday, we had a pretty amazing day in the city of Mount Vernon. We had, I know, well over 200 people throughout the city, volunteers who were cleaning up different parts of the city. We worked and began doing some work on the entryways to Mount Vernon. They hit a few abandoned lots throughout the city and begin to clean those out. We cleaned over the Mount Vernon Police Department along with some of the partners, went over to Columbus and Millington and did a cleanup day over there. There was cleanups on 3rd Avenue, 3rd Street. There were cleanups on McQuestion Parkway, Sheridan Avenue, 9th Avenue. So throughout the city, there were different crews of residents and volunteers and children and youth groups out coming together to team up to clean up. And it's the first of many. I've already gotten inboxes. Some people have said, great first start. Others have said, well, why didn't you hit my block? So, what I'm going to say to people who want to know why we haven't hit your block is because it was our first time doing it. And if you are interested in doing a team up to clean up on your block, or you need us to help you with some tools, then we encourage you to get together with your neighbors, whether you have a neighborhood association or a block association, and let us know that you have a few volunteers who are willing to come out, and we will work with you to get more volunteers and do a cleanup effort in your neighborhood. And so we started with some groups of people who had come together and said they wanted to do a cleanup day. And this is just our first stab at it. We already have a lot of people who said that they wanted to come together and do something in October. So I'm not going to set a date yet, but I'll speak to our Commissioner Damani Bush and see when we can pull together some resources and connect with the community. So Councilman Griffith, you're muted, so unmute yourself. I don't know if you saw any of the groups around the city cleaning yesterday or if you were involved in it, but do you have any initial thoughts on it?
My initial thoughts were my neighbors were saying, why are the garbage trucks coming around today? Did they miss a day? And I was like, no, we had a cleanup day and you were able to put stuff out. And they were like, oh, we wish we knew. I was like, well, you got to pay attention. The city's doing great stuff. You got to know what's going on. So, it was great. And people were really excited that, the city is working to do better. So yeah, we're gonna keep working on getting the communities informed of all that your administration is doing. We love it.
I will be riding around one day this week with our Commissioner Bush, and we're going to take a few hours and we're just going to kind of drive crawl through the city and go block by block like I did when we had Tropical Storm Isaias, just to really see, where are some properties that we need to focus on, where, having a comprehensive list. We already have a good list, but we want to make sure that we have a full list of zombie properties that are around the city, whether they are privately owned or LLC owned, old burnt out properties, that need some love and attention, and make sure that we have a full list of those so we can, continue to attack those. But even more importantly, go after the banks that own them and make sure they're maintaining them, and the property owners that own them. These are not necessarily city properties. So we have to have some enforcement with the people who are responsible for maintaining these properties, because it definitely impacts quality of life. We want to really work with some of the property owners who are still in their homes, but who are not necessarily maintaining their properties. And then one of the things that the city has to do is we have to do an audit of all of our garbage cans around the community, because there are places where garbage cans were and garbage cans have been removed, or garbage cans were there and they were broken and so they had to be removed. So we want to make sure that there's enough garbage cans out on the street. And when we have garbage cans out on the street, these are just for people who are walking down the street and they have something in their hand and they need to throw them in the garbage. These garbage cans, the public garbage cans, are not for business owners to go
Right.
out and pull garbage out of their stores. They're not for people to, in between garbage days, fill up with garbage. This is, just for that casual walking around the community. I had a hot dog and I have a hot dog wrapper, or I have a soda can and I need to throw it in the garbage. So we already know, and we've put in an order for some more garbage cans, that we have to get some more garbage cans out on the street. But I have a few blisters and calluses, and I had some real sore knees and back last night because we really got out there and worked. Some people are like, is this a photo opportunity? I promise you it was not. I was out there with my pin curls and we were cleaning. And, I said I was sore, but it was worth it. It was
Right.
worth it to be side by side with people from the neighborhood and some of our young people and our DPW workers and police out there cleaning up the community. We heard from a lot of neighbors saying, wow, I got a chance to meet some of my neighbors and people in my neighborhood that I didn't know because we were out there volunteering together.
Well, it also goes to show, I commend our DPW guys all the time. They pick up garbage, what, 3 times a week, right? So, I mean, and they walk, just the walking of every single block in the city on their routes, let alone picking up my heavy garbage alone. It's hard enough for
Mine
me
too,
to get
heavy garbage.
my garbage out. They pick up everybody's garbage. So, we have to continue to commend DPW for the extreme work that they do every week, tirelessly. Those guys, no joke, jumping on and off of the trucks, lifting our mattresses. Listen, furniture.
Dodging cars that want to race to drop off kids at school, or you want to trying to race to get to your job because you left your house late. So
It's right. So we got to commend our guys for the tremendous work that they do. And then you had them out on Saturday doing more work. I mean,
Well, look, I have to say I'm really proud of our new commissioner, Damani Bush. There are people that are saying, well, he's young, he's 31. So what? He'd been in DPW for 11 years. He worked under 9 different commissioners. He's a proven leader. And, when I went into his office the day after he took the new office, he had a big wall full of changing the culture of DPW. And literally it was about 6 feet of writing on the wall. He could erase it. That talked about everything from parks to street repair to sanitation to sewers to flowers and what the tree crew needed to do. So sometimes when you're in the second or the third spot, you always talk about what you would do if given an opportunity to lead. And I can tell you that he is doing that. He's already brought in people to do extra training with the DPW crew. He had stated last week that sanitation workers are the 5th most dangerous position in the country to have, because how often sanitation workers are hit or they get injured using the machinery. So he's doing extra training with his crew. He has some people from the state highway department coming down to do some more training. So he is investing in his workers, and I can tell you I'm already seeing the morale go up because he's worked through DPW from the bottom all the way up to the top over an 11-year period. And I'm just excited to see what he's going to do with the department. He has a heart for the city, and he wants to, ensure that the people have a good quality of life. So for those who are concerned, because I know people are going to put things in the comments, yes, we are experiencing an increase in rats. And part of that is with everyone being home, extra garbage. That's a challenge. And I've talked to some of my other mayors in surrounding communities. They're experiencing the same thing. We are working with our exterminator to try and get some extra extermination done while we're waiting for some bills to be paid. But we are working with our exterminator and with our DPW team. We are not unmindful of you, Mount Vernon. We live in the same community. that you live in. And some of the same challenges that you're experiencing on your block, I'm experiencing, in and around my block in our neighborhood and around the downtown area too. So we're not ignoring you. We are just trying to strategically hit as many places as we can. And we are working on a comprehensive plan to deal with increasing infestation, and dealing with those zombie properties are definitely a part of it. So whether they are abandoned properties or foreclosed properties, or if you have a neighbor who lives there and they're not taking care of your property, please share that information with us, because not only are we going to be violating some of those properties, but in the meantime, some of those properties we're also going to have to clean up and just put the bill on their tax rolls and make them pay it that way. So we are not unmindful. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about really quickly, Councilman Griffith, is something you and I spoke about probably all the way back in January or February, and that was the census. And I stole a comment from you, and I will give you the credit. I'll give you the credit. Because when we were talking about the census, one of the things, that you said that just made it so relatable is you said, look, if you were having people over to your house for a cookout, and you were expecting 20 people and 50 people show up, you may not have enough potato salad or, rice and peas and rice, whichever culture you are. And so I use that. I said, right now, Mount Vernon is counted as 69,000 residents, and we are closer to 105,000 residents. And so if we're only preparing and only getting sent money from the federal government to serve 70,000, and we're 100,000 people, I mean, who can manage on that? So we need people to go out and get counted. You want to just talk about the census for a moment?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, we only do it every 10 years, right? And it resets so many things, not only funding, but our representation in government, it also resets. It just talks to how much we're worth, right? So yeah, if you know that you're gonna have 10 people over, you may order 3 chickens, but if you know you're gonna have 30 people over, 3 chickens isn't going to do it. So you need more funding. And it's really important that everybody puts that number down and aim for the higher number, right? So even in my household, right, since COVID has been here, my mother-in-law has been here. I filled her in too. Hey,
That's right.
listen, she's using the streets. She's going to Gina's, right? She's doing all the stuff here as well. She's now a part of our community, right? And we shouldn't be afraid. I know a lot of people are afraid if they are immigrants or if they're not US citizens, they're scared to put their numbers in, but the intent is for them to put their numbers in. Even if you go back and do some historical research on people in the US, a lot of that information is driven by the census, right? Even during slavery times, right? Slaves were counted, maybe not as a full person, but they were counted. We were counted. So it's critical that everybody puts their numbers in so that we know how many people are using our sidewalks, our streets, needs the services. It needs the services not only in the city, but also in the state government, in the county, and in the federal government, so we can have the correct representation as well. I think we were saying that every person is kind of worth $2,500 over the 10 years. Very important that we know how many people we have here. So yeah, I purposely did my census a little bit late because I wanted to see what the impact was going to be. One of the little mini studies that I did was to see how many times people were going to come and check on me. And I can tell you, people checked on me a lot to the point where it was annoying. So there's really no excuse for anybody not to do their census. And I really want to make sure that people on the South Side, even if you're in a rooming house, fill out the census. Don't be afraid. It's not about us checking on you. We're not going to do any enforcement on you afterwards. We really want to know what we're dealing with.
Mount Vernon, just so people understand, Mount Vernon is a sanctuary city. Westchester is a sanctuary county. New York State is a sanctuary state. So this is not about ICE. coming to get you. For people who are citizens, we even have people who are citizens who are kind of concerned and, why do they want this information? Well, guess what? They have a lot of the information if your kids are in school, if you're working, if you're receiving unemployment, if you're receiving public assistance. But this is the way to have people be officially counted. What do we use census information for? We use census information to get money for schools, for hospitals, police and fire, after school programs, senior programs, recreation services. We do a lot of, and we've been doing even more feeding to the community since COVID. So it helps us with food security and making sure that we're able to give out food and have money to purchase food for the community. Job training programs, affordable housing. If people are not counted, it's a real big challenge. So we have right now on the screen, Mount Vernon, we are only at 55.4%. And we only have until September 30th to get everyone counted. We're at 55.4%. The state of New York's response rate right now is 62.8. So we are 7 points, 6.5 points behind the rest of the state. No, 7 points behind the rest of the state. We can't be behind. We need to get to 100% counted. New York sends more money to the federal government than we get back.
That's
And
right.
part of the reason is because we're not counted in the census. We're paying taxes, but we're not counted in the census. And so, the even amount of money coming back to Mount Vernon and to the state, it just doesn't happen. And if you can see, if you're looking at our census map, like North Mount Vernon is pretty well represented so far. They have about an 80% response rate, but it's really our southern region of Mount Vernon and the west side of Mount Vernon that is very undercounted. Hold on, let me put my glasses on because go over that one, put your hand on that one. So we have a 71% response rate in northern Mount Vernon, and in parts of southern Mount Vernon, we have a 45% response rate. What is that one over there to the left, Malcolm? Go over there to the left.
Yeah.
Wow, that is our worst census tract area. Census tract 35, that's only a 30% response rate. So less than 1 in 3 people that we know are living there have responded to the census. So, we're out, we're knocking on doors, we're setting up at food giveaways, we're setting up tables at supermarkets, at train stations, at bus stations. We're doing everything but breaking into people's houses to get them to complete the census. And I know a lot of people are afraid and a lot of people are not trustful of government, whether it's local or state or federal government right now. But this is going to really impact us for the next 10 years if we don't get this right. And unfortunately, as I've said over and over again, the ones who are least likely to complete the census are the ones who most need the
Yes, right.
support that this money would bring back to the community. They're the individuals that are going to need the affordable housing. They're the ones that are going to need, free lunch from school or reduced lunch from school, Medicaid and Medicare, job training programs and after school subsidies and housing subsidies. But for some reason, they're the ones who are most afraid to complete it or just don't understand the importance of it, regardless of how much we have continued to reach out. So,
and you may not need it right now. It's a trailing effect, right? So these results take 8 years to come in, right? They get very high level, and then over the years they really start to break down the numbers. So like COVID is a perfect example of why the census numbers are correct. If we knew we had closer to the $100,000 that we believe we have in Mount Vernon, our relief for COVID would be such greater, because the figures would have been in from the 10 years ago census. So it's so critical to count as many people as possible in the census numbers. And it's so easy to do. It's not like it's a tremendous amount of time. You need to put in your full name. You put in your historical background, right? So I was able to, say proudly that we're a family from Barbados in some respects, and other ones are straight African Americans. I'm proud to say that. You say where you're living, what you're doing, how long you're going to be here, as far as if you have other homes and that sort of thing. It took me 10 minutes to do for my family. So it shouldn't take people a tremendous amount of time to do. And it's a benefit for your community. It's a requirement, just like voting is a requirement, or it should be a requirement for
Should be a
everybody.
requirement. They say in some places, if you don't complete the census, that they can fine you, but that's not what we're looking to do. And I don't even think that's true, because guess what? We don't even know who completed the census or not. If we did know who didn't, we would be knocking on their doors. But because we don't have access to individual census level information, we just don't know. You can get information on kind of the number of people in the neighborhood that have completed it, but we can't tell whether you've completed the census or not based in your individual household. We just don't have any way of telling. And if we can't tell, then you don't have to worry about your information getting into the wrong hands. Individual census data is held for 75 years. For 75 years, that information is put away. And I know in 75 years, unless I am 127 years old, then most likely I'm not going to be here. So release my census information in 75 years. I don't care. But I do know that right now we need the money in our community, as well as we need the political representation in Albany and on the federal level in Washington, D.C.
I didn't know about that 70 years piece, but it's interesting for historians, right? If you're looking for your ancestors, a lot of the over 75-year tracks that you may be looking for some of your ancestors or some of the history is opened up via census information, right? So if it's good for your future ancestors to be able to know where you were from or what you did. You shouldn't be hidden. So census is good. Overall census is good.
So, if you want to do your census, you can go to www.mycensus2020.com. That's www.mycensus2020.com, as well as you can call 1-844-300-2020, 1-844-330-2020. And when someone populates the number in Espanol, I will read it to you in Espanol. But again, mycensus2020.gov and 1-844-330-2020. We can always come back and give the phone number if you need it in Spanish. So en Espanol, 844-468-2020, 844-468-2020. So you can call in to either of those numbers from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. So when you wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, someone is still there waiting to take your phone call at the census. When you get over 35, you have late night bathroom runs. It's just true. So if you're
in the Census Bureau.
State Farm, Progressive,
I'm wearing
Census.
khakis. Yeah.
Look, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh, guys. So those are some of the things. This week, I'm proud to announce that we became one of the new communities that are participating in the Mayors for Guaranteed Income. There are 25 communities across the country that are participating, from Los Angeles to New Orleans to Atlanta to Newark. It started out in Stockton, California, to Compton, to Columbia, South Carolina. A lot of really incredible communities around the country are participating in Mayors for Guaranteed Income. And basically what guaranteed income is the reason that guaranteed income came about is we know that a lot of people are precariously perched on the brink of either eviction, utility disconnection, or hunger. And $500 a month, the basis of guaranteed income is that we are providing an income floor so that families can have a supplement to their income. So here in the city of Mount Vernon, we will be launching a pilot early in the new year, giving about 50 families in our community $500 a month for 12 to 18 months. And this is different from anything that's been done in the past because it is a cash benefit. It's not that we're paying your rent or we're paying your utility bills. We're giving $500 cash or through a check directly to the families that need it most. And people say, well, why are you giving it directly to them instead of paying their landlords? Do you trust them to spend their money? Look, these are for working class families. These are for many families that are working day in and day out. These are for families, many who are working more than one job. But if you're working a minimum wage job, and sometimes if you're working two minimum wage jobs and you have children, it's still very difficult to live in one of the most expensive counties in the country. And so $500 a month is not going to make anyone rich, but $500 a month can provide a great amount of stability to families who are taking $250 a month in rent money to cover Con Ed 1 month. And oh, it's going to cover food. Oh my goodness, the tire on the car got messed up and that's $200. What am I going to do? That's going to throw me behind in my rent. Now I'm 2 months behind in my rent. $500 would make a difference for my household.
What?
And I, I'm doing okay. I'm not rich, but I'm doing okay. $500 a month would make a difference for my house. So I'm sure $500 a month for a family making $40,000 who a $400 emergency can literally set you back so far. $500 a month can be the difference between a mom working overtime one night a week and being able to come home and do homework and do dinner and spend some quality time with the kids. $500 a month makes a difference between whether or not you're buying greasy, fatty, high, salt, sodium foods for your family, or if you're able to buy better fruit and produce and leaner meats for your family so that you don't have to get high blood pressure and diabetes, which a lot of people of color and poor people suffer from health problems more than others because of the foods that they're forced to buy or to use. So $500 makes a difference. The question that people have asked is, well, where is this money coming from? Well, because we're part of this pilot program, we'll be receiving $100,000 in a grant from the Mayors for Guaranteed Income. And we've already started reaching out to private partners in the community, as well as we're going to be able to use some of our emergency shelter grant money that we're getting through HUD. As we found out last week, several other communities in the country are using. So this is really, really important. We know about 40% of Americans are right now living in poverty. And so $500 makes a difference in stabilizing a family. And it also gives people a sense of pride. It gives people a sense of pride knowing that they'll be able to take care of their families. It takes away some of the stress of trying to figure out, what bill will I not be able to pay next month. So we are really going to launch this program, like I said, in the beginning of the year. We are working on raising more money. So if there's anyone interested in donating to this, you could always reach out to us. And we will be putting out more of the income verifications and what the selection process will look like before this year ends. But, we've been in this now just for about a week and a half. We just launched the public information about it on Wednesday, but we look forward to putting this program together.
Love it.
Yeah, okay. So now, I just want to use the rest of the time that we have here together to talk about why you're on the show, and that is to talk about the audit report that came out from the New York State Comptroller's Office, and it was released just, I believe, on Thursday, I believe it came out. And so you are the chair of the Finance and planning committee for the city council. And we know the city council is the legislative body, plays a very big role in managing the finances of the community, of the city. As the executive branch, of course, I'm overseeing the departments, and we're doing a lot with the day-to-day operations and execution of the charter and the different policies and procedures. But it's the city council that really puts in place a lot of the policies and procedures for how the city is run. People don't understand that city council is to Mount Vernon like the Senate and the Congress is to the federal government. And so you always see that the Senate and the Congress, you know, they're passing laws and they're dealing with budgets and expenditures. And it's the same thing here on the local level. And the mayor and my executive and my administrative staff, which are commissioners, deputy commissioners, and directors, are the ones that carry out the day-to-day operations of the city. So what are your thoughts on this report?
Well, well, you're right. So the council is the legislative body, and tried to set the tone for the city, right? We're not supposed to be the ones that handle the day to day. We really tried to set the tone for the city. And me serving as the longest council member has a high respect for the charter, how it was written in the past, and how we continue on with the charter and the codes that we already have. We have had some problems with our controller, to be very polite to say. And one of the things that the audit report brought back to us was that we didn't set enough rules and guidance for the controller, which is initially painful for me because we elected somebody with the specifications of having a financial background. And it was never in our minds that we had to spoon feed in a way the controller as to how
Micromanage.
she needed to handle her job, or any past controller either. You know, we believe that the people of Mount Vernon should find somebody to handle the finances in his or her own way. And we've never had the level of negligence that we've had this time around. So the controller's report came back basically and said that the council didn't set the laws and set the tone for the controller's office. And it set me back a little bit because I didn't feel it was really the council's job to really dictate to the controller how to do his or her job. But that's what they came back with. So we wrote back to them, both of our offices, the mayor's office and the council, both wrote back, and they're continuing their audit. But what they did say was pretty clear, and that's that the controller isn't giving us, the administration or the council, enough information to move forward with what the financial wherewithals of the city are in its current state. The council has, though, gone ahead and passed some legislation to set some financial tone for the city. But clearly it's not going to be enough in order for us to really demand everything that we need from the controller. So we're going to continue to look into it, and it's really a partnership, right? So when your office wants to recommend something that needs to be a law, the council takes that recommendation, maybe tweaks it a little bit, but then we move forward. It's really a team effort. And this has really turned into the council dictating to the controller what her job is. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be the partnership like we have with you, Madam Mayor. And that's what we need to begin to work on.
So, you know, I'm going to kind of just go to page 12, which is the recommendations page, and that's what you're talking about. So the audit recommended that the council would update and develop policies and procedures integral to effectively managing the city's financial operations. Then it was ensure that council members receive accurate and complete interim financial and budget reports that they need to manage city finances. Ensure that detailed budgets based on historical results of operations are prepared and adopted in a timely manner in accordance with the charter. and developed and adopt multi-year financial and capital plans. And so I know really in a meeting that we had back in August, the council had your council meeting and you passed new ordinances, I believe about 7 since, we got these recommendations, and before the final report was released, the council passed ordinances basically stating that, the controller should provide monthly reports and detailed summary reports, that quarterly reports should be provided, that year-to-date financials, so we know the revenue that's coming in to operate the city and the expenditures that are being made, that monies that come in from the federal government like HUD that come into the city to be used for some of our most vulnerable residents have to be transferred from the controller's office to the urban renewal agency within a certain matter of time, that we needed information on cash flows and fund balances and just all of the things that are integral financially to running the city. It's the equivalent of someone in their home trying to figure out and budget in their home, but they're not sure how much money is coming into the bank account or how bills are being paid. You're operating in the financial blind. And so, you've had to, like you said, micromanage and pass ordinances that says, at 8:30 in the morning, do this. And that's not really what you should have to do as a council if the work is being done in good faith. Now, it said the Board of Estimates should ensure that the budget process required by the charter is adhered to, and that's a timeline that should happen. One of the challenges is the last few budgets, including the budget for 2020, were not adopted until February, really late February, for the 2019 year as well as the 2020 year. And, quite a few budgets before that just really squeak in barely. But again, that's because financial information is not given. And when financial information is not given, it's hard to create a budget. It said the mayor should reestablish the Capital Projects Board as required by charter. And on August 17th, we did just that. We reestablished the Capital Projects Board as required by the charter. And that is the first Capital Projects Board that has existed since 2010. So what does the Capital Projects Board do? It basically goes around and looks at our properties and looks at all of our equipment, capital projects. These are your expensive purchases that are above a certain amount. So we have to look at all of the city's properties, all of our buildings, all of our equipment, machinery, and major purchases, and make a multi-year plan on how we're going to fix our sewers, how we're going to fix our streets, how we're going to fix the roof on the Dole Center or the Armory, or upgrade the heating and ventilation system, how we're going to purchase fire engines, garbage trucks, police cars and equipment, major upgrades for technology. Those are just some of the capital needs that communities have. And so in order to be able to plan for that, you have a board, you put that board together, you do a full evaluation of your capital assets, and then also what needs to be replaced, repaired, and upgraded. And so we have started that process and have been going, through our different buildings and looking to see what needs to be done, what needs to happen. And while we do not have our bond rating right now, we are completing all of the audits in the different departments that need to occur to reestablish our bond rating and make sure that the controller is prepared to do the city's audits. And we are moving back. We are moving very strategically, very intentionally, and we are very focused on getting our bond rating back. And we don't want to wait until that happens for us then to put together a capital projects board. We're doing it now. So once we get it back within hopefully the next 12 to no more than 18 months, with all of the other audits that have to occur, that we will have a capital projects plan together and ready to go. So I grew up with my grandfather being a hunter, and he always said that you have to aim before you fire. And so right now we're in the process of aiming. And so the Capital Projects Board is in the charter. and we are back on track with the capital projects board. So,
And just a little bit of clarity for some folks, we have an annual budget, but capital projects are things, expenditures that really have a lifetime of over 1 year, right? So when you're buying your house, you pay for it over 30 years traditionally. If you're buying a car, you may pay for it over 3 years, 4 years. And these days, people have been paying their car 5 years, right? So those are capital projects as well, things that have a livelihood of over a year, right? So and we often don't plan for that either, right? One of the things that we do is we've been leasing things lately, and that's a method that's cost savings to do it, right? But we still need to know that if we're buying this equipment that's going to last over a year, we should be planning for it. And the real fear comes when you're paying for things in 1 year that should be spread over multiple years, right? And that's what we haven't been doing. We've been really, honestly, been doing our budget blindly, right? But it's good to know that we have people that have been in that house before that could walk around with no lights on, right? The problem is when you go to a different house where things have changed and you have no clue where you are, right? We're not quite there yet, but we're getting closer to that, and we can't have that. So it's really important that we concentrate on getting real numbers so that we all are seeing clearly. The lights are on throughout the house, and we know we're in the living room, what bedroom we're in, that sort of thing. It's really difficult doing a budget without having current financials, and that's what the audit is really coming back and telling us. The controller really has to provide us with the numbers so that we can make sound decisions. And the annual budget is a piece of cake. Getting not a piece of cake really, but compared to a capital budget, to paying for major equipment, buildings, infrastructure, fire trucks, right? Garbage trucks, things that are highly expensive. You don't want to pay for that all in 1 year. So it's critical that we get correct financial information in order to make those tough decisions. We can't make those decisions without it.
I mean, and like you said, when people are in their homes, or even if you're in your apartment and you know you need to make a major purchase, you don't say, "Oh, I'm going to pay for that all out of my October budget."
Right.
You
Right.
say, "Okay, we have to do upgrades. We have to redo our kitchen, and that's going to cost $10,000." And so, we're going to have to borrow money so that we could do this project and pay for it over these number of years. And so it's all the same thing.
Mhm.
We're just looking at it on a larger scale, but budgeting is budgeting, whether you're in your house or you're in company or you're running a city. It's just a larger scale, but the principles of budgeting and financing does not change from an individual level to running a city. It just gets bigger, but it's the same basic principles.
Mhm.
So the report said that the controller should provide the council with interim financial reports, including but not limited to budgetary status reports, cash flow, and fund balance projections, work with the city's independent auditors to provide information necessary to complete the 2016 audit and all subsequent required audits in a timely manner, review the New York State Office of State Controller's Accounting and Reporting Manual to determine whether the Urban Renewal Agency should be included in the city's, AUD annual audit report for the state, and whether the URA has to be included in that report, and ensure that the annual audit with the state is timely, because right now I don't think they've received the reports for the city of Mount Vernon for 2016, 17, 18, and 19. And so we're really far behind with handing in reports to the state as well as to the federal government when it comes to the management of the finances of the city of Mount Vernon. And the last one is that the controller should conduct periodic audits of all departments and administrative officials at least once in the year and submit reports to the board and the council by June 30th of each year.
Compliance is very important, right?
Very, very, very important. So This is where we are. It said this is the financial reporting timeline. August 12th, 2016 was the last AUD filed by the city of Mount Vernon. The city auditors issued a management letter in March of 2017. The last interim financial reports were given to the council as of June 2018. So the council and nor the mayor's office or any of the departments have received detailed financial reports since July of 2018. In November 26th of 2018, well, I think that's supposed to say, okay, November 26th of 2018, Richard Thomas asked for reports at that time and did not get them. In November of 2018. The city's credit rating was put under review. In January, the city's credit rating was withdrawn. In January of this year, I asked for financial information from the auditor, from the controller. February, the city's auditors, our external auditors tried to complete, hold on, that's a siren. Ambulance rushing somewhere. The city auditors tried to get information from the controller back in February so that they can complete the 2016 audit, and they have not been able to get that information from her so she could complete the federal audit. And March 31st, the council and the mayor, well, the council, I know you put in requests at that time to the controller for financial information. And I think that's also about the time that we contacted the state auditor's office and asked if they would really come down here and to do an audit. So while this is round one of audits that are completed and this report is coming out, the state controller's office actively has a team of about 5 people who are working and who have been speaking with my office, the office of the mayor, and every single commissioner and director in the city of Mount Vernon about their experiences and trying to get bills paid, trying to hand in revenue to the controller, trying to get reports from the controller so that we could make financial decisions. I do expect in the next 10 business days for the New York State Office of the Controller to come down and do a site visit. They were scheduled to come down this week, and the controller said she wasn't available to meet with the state controller staff. And so they pushed it back to next week, the week after. And then she said she still wasn't going to be available to meet with them. But I asked them to come anyway. I said, we cannot continue to push off the state auditor. These are the auditors that are coming to see if our city is operating okay. And if I and 20 commissioners and directors can change our schedules around to accommodate the state auditor, if the city council and all 5 members can move their schedules around to accommodate the state auditor, then there is no reason why the controller's office, where all the financial information for the city is being held, cannot change their schedule to accommodate the state auditors. And so I am really hoping that they do not delay their coming any further. They have not been able to come and do a site visit up until now because of COVID and the fact that they weren't released to travel. And we know that there's small upticks happening across the state with the numbers, and I don't want it to get back to high levels where they can't come again. That would be tragic, and I think I would probably cry. So, you know, we really do look forward to them coming down. So whatever on-site assessments they need to make and do, they'll be able to continue to do that. So the question said, you know, what happens if she continues to push these appointments off? Well, I called them. I called the state auditor and I begged them. I said, please, as far as I'm concerning, you're just getting a little taste of what we get all of the time. We make appointments with her, she cancels. We make more appointments with her, she cancels. We ask for information, she says she's busy and it's not available. we ask her to come to standing meetings that happen the same time every month, and she'll make an appointment to do something totally unrelated. And these are meetings that, Board of Estimate meetings, these are mandatory meetings that we're supposed to attend so that we can be present to make a vote and move the business of the city along. And how you can schedule other meetings when you have board meetings that are scheduled based on the charter, how you can, I don't, if I have a Board of Estimate meeting, I don't schedule another meeting. You just don't do that. It would have to be a terrible, terrible emergency for me to miss a Board of Estimate meeting, and I haven't missed one since I've been here, and I'm grateful for that because the priority is the business of the city. And so,
And for the council, if, we have contingencies, if the council president can't make it to the meeting, we have the a pro tem that can make it to the meeting. We have the acting pro tem that can make it if the acting pro tem can't. The controller has the first deputy controller that can absolutely serve in if she's not available. And then there's the second deputy controller, but she hasn't appointed either one of those people because of her own insecurities. So it's a real problem when you are elected to an office and one of the main requirements of your office is to show up to meetings, to produce information, to work as a team, right? And you just don't show. And then if you didn't show, at least send the information that we need in order to make the decisions in your absence. And that information isn't there either. It's a degradation of her duties. It's negligence. It's just absolutely no excuse for an elected official to not perform the duties that she was elected to perform. And the question, I think, was, so what happens next if she just doesn't produce? And that's where we're all like,
that's where we're all waiting, and we're stuck. So, just to confirm, so on page 26 and 27 of the audit, for people who might be following in the community or who need, to know where to look, on page, they have notes from the state controller. So one of the notes, note number 13, which I think is really, really important. Let me put on my glasses. These are my eyes are getting old, $4 glasses. So note number 13 says the 2020 adopted budget, because the controller always says that the city council president and myself cut money out of her budget. Well, we reduced a line that was a temporary budget line in there for temporary staff. We took that $80,000 out because we didn't want to tax the residents double for, when there are other positions that are open. So it says the 2020 adopted budget included $80,000 reduction in budgeted appropriations for temporary help within the city controller's office. However, the 2020 adopted budget included $177,613 in budgeted salaries for a first and second deputy controller. So for the first deputy controller, it's about $98,000. For the second deputy controller, it's $80,000. And I know the first deputy controller is supposed to be a CPA or have accounting, certifications and licenses. So it says in budgeted salaries for the first and second deputy controller, which were both vacant as of April 9th and are still vacant, and they have not been filled probably since early 2018. Furthermore, although the 2018 and 2019 adopted budgets included budgeted appropriations for temporary help for the city controller's office, that financial reports still were never produced since July of 2018. So you can't say that because positions were eliminated this year that you didn't give in reports since July 2018. And then she also says that that's why she hasn't accepted HUD money, because we eliminated these temporary help. One of them is a security guard. The security guard is not processing HUD vouchers. And the other person was a very, very, very part-time person. You have $177,000 almost $178,000 in your budget. If those positions were important, you could transfer monies, or you could just hire the number 2 and 3 people in your office who are supposed to take care of some of the higher level finances.
And Madam Mayor, we don't want to mislead the public to think that, well, there's nobody working in the office. So no, not true. These are the appointed accountants. We still have the chief accountant that is a civil service employee, and we have a whole slew of civil service employees that have been doing this pre this controller being in the office. So there's plenty of people down there that are qualified and know how to do the work. But somehow this office just isn't producing the numbers and the financials that they were producing in the past. It's a serious problem for all of us, not only us as elected officials, but everybody in the city of Mount Vernon. We are running blind financially.
And that's a challenge. So, I don't want to continue to swing the bat at this ball. But, as we've said from when I came into office, the council has said it, we need accurate financial reporting information so we can know what monies we have to spend, what revenues that we're working with, and we want to move forward with that. Councilman, is there anything you want to say as we're wrapping up? We have about 2 minutes to go.
We have a great city. God bless everybody during these strenuous COVID times. I think your $500 plan is excellent assistance. Every little bit helps. If anybody needs anything, please reach out to the council. Even if it's through the mayor's office and the council are working in sync to do what we need to do to help this city out as best as we can. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you. And residents of Mount Vernon, trust me, I understand that you have a lot of frustrations. You voted for me to come in and make change, and that's what I promised. And no one is more frustrated at the pace of change than I am. But we do have some real challenges that we are dealing with on a day-to-day basis that impede our ability to move forward at the pace that we want to move forward with and the pace that we know our community deserves. And so we're not trying to hide behind any excuses. We want to see the progress you want to see. We live here like you do. We know the potential of this community just like you do. And we are working and we are pushing forward. We're not here to point fingers, but we do have to deal with some of the realities and some of the challenges that are here. But we're not giving up. We're not giving in. We're not going to tear down our community in the process. And we are pushing forward to deal with everything from rats in the street to garbage, to old equipment, and to lack of finances moving the way we need them to move so we can take care of the community. Thank you so much, Councilman Griffith, for your partnership. I appreciate the work, and I look forward to the state comptroller coming down in the next phase of this audit. Thank you so much in Mount Vernon. Everyone have a blessed evening. Have a safe week. And it's getting chillier out here. New Yorkers, we love to dress in layers, so let the layers come out. I have some good sweaters I'm ready to pull out. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.